fine.
We look fine.
Yes, that's different than fine.
Oh, well, we look fine. That sound Irish. Welcome to DBL. More than 70 million Americans traveled for the 4th, and for a lot of folks, they choose to stay in what? In Airbnb. Well, CNN is out with a new investigation into hidden cameras that are installed by the hosts in some of these rentals. What's worse, some of these are hidden in areas where they can capture, let's say, intimate moments, like in the bathroom or even in the bedroom. According to a recent deposition, an Airbnb rep revealed the company has generated 35,000 support tickets about surveillance devices in the past decade. But here's our question for you. Is the company, Airbnb, doing enough to keep guests safe? Sam, you have more info on this. Talk to me. This is scary.
Very scary. I've used Airbnb. First of all, 45 million users, okay, on Airbnb. That's a lot of people.
Dude.
In the U.S.
In the U.S. alone. And I know that a lot of people, even in our studio, rely on Airbnbs when they travel. According to the Airbnb spokesperson, when hidden camera complaints occurred, this is what they said. We take appropriate swift action, which can include removing hosts and listings that violate the policy. However, here's a very important caveat. An Airbnb employee testified when guests complain of hidden cameras, they do not notify the police. Sometimes they notify the host, okay? And they just started, literally, Airbnb just started banning indoor security cameras as of April.
Only in April.
Only April. How many Airbnbs have we all been in the last decade alone?
Yeah. Okay, so let's just hear quickly before we hear from the panel from an actual victim. This person wants to remain anonymous. Let's take a listen.
They had intimate footage of my wife and I. The sexual union between two people is sacred. It felt like an extreme violation of our marriage. It's devastating. It's a travesty.
Erica, what do you think?
I mean, when you think about going anywhere, whether it's an Airbnb, a hotel, a VRBO, like, we don't know what is actually happening behind light switches, smoke detectors, all of these different things, because the alarming thing, I mean, this whole thing is alarming, but also the fact that Airbnb says that they don't notify the host. That's interesting.
Sometimes they do.
Right. Sometimes they notify the host. It's interesting because do we know who actually installed the cameras? So if you're not even notifying the host, and that's their primary residence, which in a lot of cases it is, and they Airbnb it, then they aren't aware that there are cameras in their home as either. When I think about cameras and security, because y'all know I love my cameras, we have internal cameras in our home. When anyone stays in our home, I screenshot all of the views of the cameras and I send it to them so that they know where every camera is, because I think it's a violation. Although all of the cameras are in common areas, I do think it's a violation of people's privacy if they're unaware that there's a camera there. Now, that camera is for the safety of the home, but you still should know that it's there. So, I mean, I'm not shocked by it. And I think that ultimately we as the travelers are going to have to take the responsibility in our own hands regardless of what the policies are.
Do you think Airbnb is doing enough?
I think they could do more.
Yeah.
You know, I just think about, like, if I stay somewhere, I would feel violated having cameras in the house, right? Yeah. Even if they told me. I'm not violated, I shouldn't say, but like just kind of weird. But also, if I'm an owner of one of those houses, I would want cameras inside the house, but I would disclose that information.
Sure.
Hey, there's cameras, just like Erica said, in this area, definitely not in the bathroom or your private areas, just so I could dispute anything that happens.
For your protection.
When people go into hotels, what do? You take the towel, you throw on the floor, you do that. They just trash it because it's not their house. They do the same thing with an Airbnb. So the people who do this Airbnb, which is a very lucrative business, have to protect themselves. Like, hey, there's missing plates, or you guys broke this. No, I didn't. Well, yes, it's on camera. You did. You know, so I see both sides to this, but Airbnb, VRBO, whatever it may be, has to put out their information and disclosing where all the cameras are.
I think this is really going to hurt Airbnb. That on top of, there's certain cities now that are banning Airbnb, like Barcelona, because of the very fact that there's no affordable housing anymore. So you have all these corporations coming in, or wealthy individuals that are, you know, buying up spots in all these tourist cities, and then the locals can't even afford to purchase their own properties.
Right.
So I do think, listen, Airbnb, I hope you're listening, because if they make changes, then I think they'll survive. Otherwise, I think that this is the end of Airbnb, and that's a bold statement, but I really do believe that.
I agree with you. In Barcelona, they actually were throwing or hitting tourists with water pistols because they were so annoyed by the people. They were all hitting them with water pistols. I also have to say Airbnb has been hit with their cleaning fee has been like a major issue, and they've been kind of like, in some ways, I've read some reviews where people feel really scammed out by the cleaning fees that they had to do. So 2 big hits on Airbnb, and I hope they are paying attention because this is
Real quickly, I just want to say people are doing Airbnb because it's a cheaper option.
Exactly.
Hotel prices have been driven up so high, it's ridiculous. People just can't afford them. So for the people of Spain, they should lower their hotel prices. Therefore, there wouldn't be so much Airbnb traffic.
Absolutely.
The hotel price, they gouge you because they're trying to get back the money they made the previous year or make up for COVID. And that's just the state, that's where we are right now. Just with everything, the price is so high. Everyone's trying to pay off their stockholders and make up the money they lost during COVID. And we're in the situation we are right now.
That's exactly right. All right, coming up on DBL, well said. President Biden aims to prove his doubters wrong with an opening speech at the NATO summit. Did he do enough to change voters' minds? And, oh gosh, are you not entertained? We've got a first look at Gladiator 2. Will you go see it? Is Jeff foaming at the mouth? Yes. Welcome back to DBL. So ever since President Biden's disastrous debate performance last month, he's tried to prove any doubters wrong. And yesterday, with the eyes of the world on him, he delivered a powerful speech to celebrate 75 years of NATO. Take a look.
Today, NATO is more powerful than ever, 32 nations strong. This remarkable progress, proof that our commitment is broad and deep, that we're ready, that we're willing, we're able to deter aggression and defend every inch of NATO territory across every domain: land, air, sea, cyber, and space.
A lot has been said about Democrats being divided, and some are calling for the president to actually exit the race. But we want to be clear here. Only 7 out of 213 House Democrats have said that, and just 1 out of 51 Democratic senators. So did this speech change your mind? And is the media misrepresenting the overwhelming support Biden still has? I want to start with the first question, the speech. Anybody's mind changed? Oh my gosh, the old Biden back?
Well, just for the speech in itself, Ukraine is not part of NATO.
Correct.
So he's saying NATO's defending, and I don't know how NATO feels. I know everyone's kind of supporting Ukraine from NATO, but we're giving trillions of dollars to the Ukraine. So I don't know how the rest of the countries in NATO feel about us supporting Ukraine so much. Because if it does spill over into NATO countries, do we have enough money to support NATO, which he is promoting right here? So that's the first question I had when he gave that speech.
It's a fair question. All right, let's talk about this other question. Is the media misrepresenting the overwhelming support Biden still has? I have gotten so many messages from people saying, how dare you talk about Biden this way? How dare you not talk about your support? And I do want people to do what Sam said, and I should have said it as well. I want you to Google Project 2025, and I want you to understand what that means, because it's the most Googled thing right now in Google, and I want us to understand what we're going up against. I just have to say, we didn't ask Biden to do the debate. I said over and over again, don't do the debate. He went on that debate, and he represented himself as someone I didn't think can continue for the next 4 years.
I'm glad he did the debate, because I think as constituents, we need to know what we're dealing with. And, you know, I do believe that Biden should step down. But if Biden ends up being the Democratic nomination, I'm still going to vote for Biden, because, again, Google 2025, Project 2025 is stripping away our rights.
Dismantling everything.
And so, but I just want, again, to reiterate, I'm not trying to blow something out of proportion, and I hate that we have to pick sides. I just want the best for our country.
Totally.
That's it.
I feel that.
I think it's a complicated conversation, because, as I've said for years at this point, the Democrats and the Republicans are playing two different types of games. And every time the Democrats, and I'm going to say the Democrats because that's what happens, you can't go over to the Republican game and try to play not knowing all the rules. We don't operate that way. You have a demographic of people who are going to vote for a man that they have decided on and has put them up on a pedestal beyond anything you can think of in the history of this country. So that is blind loyalty. We don't have blind loyalty on the Democratic side. So of course we're going to use discretion, and we're going to want to know the answers. The issue is these two people are running in the same race. So anytime you have someone who has blind loyalty, and people are going to back no matter what they do, and then on the other side you have people using discernment on what is going on with their candidate, what's going on for the future of the democracy. That's an uneven balance. It doesn't matter who those two people are. You could be talking about two sports teams, and that side of the field, regardless of if they're winning or losing, is always going to sound like they're winning. So when we have these conversations and we don't exercise discernment in the conversation of how we're talking about politics, then it does appear that Biden has no support. But at the end of the day, there is a whole demographic of people who will vote for a corpse before they vote for Trump. So it doesn't matter. And then on the other side, you'll have the people who will vote for Trump regardless of what he does. So I feel like when we have this conversation, we need to have it in a more balanced way to talk about what we're really talking about here.
Very, very, very well said into the nuance of that. I couldn't have said that better. Jeff, what do you feel?
I'm glad take the issue out. It's hard to talk about politics without like getting judged this or carded this or whatever it may be. 8 people bending on your own party is impressive. One person bending on your own party against your own party is impressive. In this case, we have 8, whatever, 213, yeah, it may be. So I like that, because the last 4 years, I really feel like we got bamboozled. They had a lot of distractions going on socially, and our presidential election was based on, I'm going to pick the lesser of two evils. Bill Maher famously says, I'm going to vote for Biden if his head's in a jar of blue liquid. He says that on his show all the time. That's our bar for where our president is? That's our bar?
And I understand what you're saying, but yes, that is the bar.
Right, but
the issue is, when we talk about Project 2025, everyone always says, like, look it up. And the reason why is because it's like, what, a 900-page document.
Correct.
But when we're talking about it, we're talking about the elimination of women's rights, the elimination
Education.
of civil rights, the Department of Education.
Dismantled.
People who are not
Gay
well
marriage
informed,
gone.
right, well informed on this, a lot of people feel like it doesn't affect me. It affects you if you cannot afford to get residence in another country. It affects you if you cannot afford to independently pay for your medical care. It affects you if you have children who need an education. If you are not independently wealthy in this country, Project 2025 affects you, not the man that you're considering putting in office. That's 4 years we're talking about. 4 years. If you're planning on escaping this planet in 4 years, then vote and have someone who supports Project 2025. Because the next time that you have an opportunity to vote, you may not have an opportunity to vote.
All right, well said, perfectly said. I just want to jump in. I'm not talking about 25, I'm talking about our candidates, both of them. When you go back to Mitt Romney and you talk about Obama, do you see how they talk to each other? The respect that they had for each other? That's gone. Our country is gone, and the lesser of two evils, and a guy in a jar of liquid, that's what I'm talking about. And then you have Trump on the other side. I'm not saying vote for Trump. I'm saying they distracted us the last 4 years, and we were going to have this rematch when nobody wanted it. And now we're here. It's because of all the distractions. It's because one party on the left and one party on the right wanted these candidates to go in, and the people really didn't speak. We got distracted by all the other stuff going on. What Erica said is exactly right, 1,000%. I know we got to go.
Okay, we got to go. We know that was a fantastic conversation. We'll be right back.
The greatest temple Rome ever built. The Colosseum. Because this is what they believe in. Power.
Oh, I want to see more. Welcome back to DBL. That's the first look at Ridley Scott's sequel to Gladiator, Gladiator 2, starring Paul Mescal, Denzel Washington, and Pedro Pascal. Now, Russell Crowe does make a very brief appearance in a flashback to the original movie, but since his character Maximus died, he won't be a part of the new film. Still, it expects to pack in tons of action. Watch.
I was owned. Now I will control an empire.
I will not waste another generation of young men for their vanity.
Strength among us! This our own creature heroes! Hands on the mausoleum floor. Blood stains the Coliseum doors.
Dudes! Whoa! So the movie comes out Thanksgiving weekend on the same day, though, as another high-profile film, one I'm obsessed with, too. Wicked, starring Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. Some people are even calling the mashup Glicked. I hope I said that right. Was similar to last year's Barbenheimer. That's where Barbie obviously opened on the same day as Oppenheimer. The two movies could not be more different, but managed to collectively make over $2 billion worldwide. Cheers to the movies.
Yeah.
Right? Oh my God. So I do want to show you a before and after of Paul Mescal. He's an Irish actor that's really been on the up and up. He is before, here he is post Gladiator training.
Wow.
If you will.
I feel like the movies are back. I mean, you probably have been like envisioning this coming to life, but were you a little bit hesitant? But now that you see the trailer, how do you feel?
I feel good, but Gladiator's my favorite movie of all time, and you don't want to see it messed with. I'm glad they're bringing it back. I'm very inspired by that, but I was so inspired by the first one, so there's nowhere to go but down from this one. So, but I do like, I mean, I love Ridley Scott. I love what he did with the first one, but I like the music that they incorporate. It's very, what's the guy who did Great Gatsby? You know, he does all the, he did Elvis. What's the producer's name?
Bob Marley.
Very, like with the, you know, with the
Jay-Z,
rapping in there and stuff. That's very.
Blood stains the Coliseum floor.
Moulin Rouge, yeah.
I was going along with what you're saying.
All right, I was saying it.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
What do you think about it?
Oh, me? I agree. I was sorry. I was just joining it on in. I thought it was cool, the music choice. And I love Denzel.
I think people are going to be blown away. I think to Jeff's point, because Gladiator was such a fantastic film, I think when you have this caliber of actors, remember when we covered Russell Crowe also being hesitant?
Yeah.
But when you have this caliber of actors with Ridley Scott, I honestly don't think he would have even attempted to do this film if he didn't think he could better it. So I think you're going to be happy.
This isn't my genre, but Denzel.
I know.
Dang, I want to be seasoned and sexy.
He is seasoned
That
and
is
sexy.
inspiring. It really is.
Yep.
But I also want to give props to Wicked, because when I saw it in the theater, or
on Broadway,
not on Broadway, but in Chicago, that was so impactful. Like, it was such an emotional, aesthetically imaginative journey. And for anyone who hasn't had a chance to see it live, this is going to be a very special moment. So this is just a weekend for the family at the theaters.
Hashtag doubleheader. We'll be right back.
Take my 5-year-old to see Gladiator.
Welcome back. We're in the midst of some hot summer days, and the heat might make you want to take a cold shower before bed to cool off. But get this, studies show that this actually can make sleep worse. So experts suggest taking a hot bath before bed, even in the summer, because the hot water actually helps change your body's core temperature so that you go to bed with a lower temperature.
It kind of reminds me, remember when if your child, right, when your baby's born, they say if your baby's really cold, just put your baby up to your chest and your heat will regulate their heat.
Oh.
Do you remember that?
I don't know what's happening.
I feel like that meme where the woman's looking and all the mathematics are like going like this. Okay, but take a hot bath before.
No, they said not to.
No, they said don't take a cold one. Take a hot one.
Right.
Right.
Okay, yes.
Yes.
Still confused.
Jacuzzi can help you take relaxing baths, no matter what the temperature, right?
Yeah, there
Before
you go.
bed.
Take a bath.
Yeah,
Get in there, relax.
Jacuzzi, right? It offers an unmatched, stress-free remodeling process. Call 1-800-996-0017 or visit jacuzzibathremodel.com. Whew, that was a good one.
Did you guys ever hear when you were younger put hot water in ice cube trays and it freezes faster? That's not true, right?
What?
No, we will see you tomorrow. Oh, wow.
You ever hear that?
No.
Dude,